Kamala Harris is now the competitor to Trump. Do you feel better or worse about your chances against Kamala Harris versus Joe Biden?
I don't see her stacking up against Trump, especially when she laughs at every single question that she's asked like a hyena, and she doesn't have that best wording with sentences even against Biden does.
When we talk about the children of the community, they are children of the community.
Well, we are the United States of America because we are united. And we are states.
Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time.
Whatever we have in store cannot be known. The past was once the future. The future is, I should say, unknown.
We got to take this stuff seriously as you are, because you have been forced to have to take it seriously.
Obesity is a serious disease, and it needs to be taken seriously.
You need to get to go and need to be able to get where you need to go to do the work and get home. Certain issues are just settled.
Clearly we're not.
No, that's right. And that's why I do believe that we are living, sadly, in real unsettled times.
That's what you and I know about Harris, right? That she's the vice president that's kind of tough to understand at times, right? It's like she's always trying to maintain this persona that she's a real deep person, but in reality, she's not like that at all. In fact, her logic and wording sometimes seems completely off. But listen to what Joe Rogan said on this podcast, something that's now going viral because it really makes a lot of sense.
So everybody forever was like, Kamala Harris is the worst vice president. She's the least popular vice president of all time. And then in a moment in time, all of a sudden she's our solution. She's our hero. Everybody's with her. All these social media posts about her. Try Googling a negative story on her. You won't find one.
Now, that is a key point there. Google and Meta, that's Facebook, Instagram, are certainly going out of their way to fortify another election. It's something that is being noticed by more and more Americans, including people, big wigs in Silicon Valley like Elon Musk.
Now, this is exactly my thought, because most of what you and I just saw some weeks ago, they're now gone from the internet. Like either that or they're buried so deep down in the algorithm that it's just becoming next to impossible to find them. And while a lot of us have an idea as to who the real Kamala Harris is, do you think that she herself is aware of who she is?
I said to the congressman, I didn't know he could preach like that. Yeah, girl, I'm out here in these streets, and let me tell you, as they say, they not like us. Do I see people testifying? Can I get a witness?
So authentic, isn't she? Compare her accent there to what we just heard to how she sounds normally, like when she appeared on the set of a drag queen show.
We are all in this together, and your vote is your power. So please make sure your voice is heard this November.
Who's the real Kamala? And as for the media outrage about Donald Trump pointing out...
Okay, girl, not sure where the accent goes every time you kind of switch places, but it's kind of hard to keep up. So Kamala Harris argues that she knows who she is. She's not doing these strange acts just to pander to your votes. This is what she says. And this is the real Kamala Harris that's in front of us right now. Meanwhile, Donald Trump on his end has never pandered to any demographic besides using policies. And that's what's important, right? Because that will dictate the future. It's why Joe Rogan makes a very good point, because even I'm kind of having a hard time finding what Kamala Harris actually did in the past. And it's this movement to cloud our eyes that's telling people like Joe Rogan that it's possible that the VP actually wins this November.
She's going to win.
No, she's not.
She can win.
She absolutely can win. I do not think she's going to win, because the more she talks, like in 2020, how bad do you have to be that you can't even make Iowa? She couldn't even compete with the mayor of South Bend.
I feel like we are in this very bizarre time where people are giving in to the bullshit in a way that I never suspected people would before. And this is one, they just want no Trump, no matter what, and they're willing to gaslight themselves to think that. And by the way, I think Hillary could win. If Hillary jumped back in.
I've been saying that for months.
If Hillary jumped back in, I think the problem was also the money. Because there was it was like $250 million in the campaign fund that has, if it only works if
Right.
She's on the ticket.
Right.
So that's part of the problem. But I feel like Hillary could win. Like, she won the popular vote in 2020.
Hillary, I've been saying this
rather.
for a year in different shows, and she would win it. Won in pretty.
Michelle Obama could win too.
No, I don't.
If
think
she wanted to do it, you don't think so?
I don't. I think that's kind of this. You sound like your parents. I think it's this boomer idea. She doesn't want it.
I'm not saying that she would be awesome at it, but I think
anyone can win of either party.
Yes.
Whoever the nominee.
And he's right. This is prime gaslighting, guys. I mean, look at Harris's approval ratings from earlier this year. An abysmal 35.9% of Americans approved of her work. And the worst part is that not many of us even knew what she was actually doing. We were told that she was the border czar. Y'all remember that, right? But that narrative has quickly been changed by mainstream media. And the same can be said for her polling, because now she's suddenly just so much better compared to President Joe Biden, even though they were on the same boat when Biden was their presidential nominee. Check out what many call as propaganda that's connected to her great numbers.
Kamala Harris is ahead in many of the polls ahead of November's US election. It's been another amazing week. Joining me live is Professor of Political Science at Cyprus College, Peter Matthews. Peter, a very good morning to you, our time. And
good morning, Tim.
Quite extraordinary. I look at the bookmakers, they have Kamala Harris in at $2 to win the election.
The bookmakers and the pollsters, who have her up by 5 points in the RMG poll. In the Ledger poll, she's up by 7 points when they get rid of the third-party candidate. So anyway you look at it, she's doing great. In 8 polls, she's ahead of President Trump, which is a complete turnaround since President Biden gave up the seat. It is going to be a very interesting race, Tim, to say the least.
Do you think this has got a lot to do with the whole idea that no one wanted to see a Biden-Trump clash? They didn't want to see two older men, and Harris presents something completely different.
Now you gotta ask, what has changed between the start of this year to today? Well, there's been this historic prisoner exchange with Russia that finally freed former US Marine Paul Whelan. Now some people speculate that the timing of this exchange was extremely convenient for Harris's campaign, although we are thankful that these Americans are now back home. But look at the timing of this, all right? Now, of course, there's also the matter of how much Democrats were regretting voting Biden as their presidential nominee. The difference between the two is that Harris can actually complete a sentence. Kind of. It's not always going to make sense, but it's a sentence nonetheless. Now, this reminds me that there are also those who question if Kamala Harris is even being truthful to us about her past, especially when it comes to her political record, as those are being cleaned as we speak. And now she wants you to believe that the open border is all Donald Trump's fault. Now, I did a previous video where she's pinning the blame on the former president rather than her own current administration. The gaslighting is just on another level, guys. Anyway, make sure you check that one out. As always, thanks for hitting the like button. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing these videos, and I'll see you on the next one.